Alright, hello, and in today's video, we will be looking at the 33rd episode of What If Civilization Started Over on Another Planet. Now, in the last episode, a lot of stuff happened, but mainly, might have not been too obvious, but a lot of stuff have been hiding around, essentially building up a lot of influence, and today we're going to be seeing the height of the coalition versus the Square Alliance, or in simple words, they're probably going to war, will they? Not saying it, but this is the episode where something's going to happen, so there's your little hint right there. But without further ado, if you do enjoy, please do like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 2K subs, and without further ado, I think we could get right into the video. Before the big thing, I'm going to stall a little. Essentially, we're going to have a couple other things happen. Essentially, while this was all building up, it's going to be a bit of a cross story with multiple things happening. And the first thing being, this happened in the last episode, I just forgot to mention it, but for example, Helonia right here has been threatening this country right over here, Bohemian, I believe I named it, forgetting my own names, and essentially that was the cause of them actually joining the Square Alliance over here, and as you can see, they are also part of, if I could get the ideology, there's so much layers. They joined the Trapezoid Alliance, which is actually the South Bloc, aka what it is. It kind of is. Essentially, it's the South Communist Bloc, but this was a few months ago. But now that all these countries have joined the South Bloc, they've become even united, where these two don't really have beef anymore. Because essentially, the goal of this communist thing is to just like be together as one, be strong, and help each other out. But taking a little step away from that, the main thing is right over here, because nothing has been going on here, and like we got to have something go on, of course. And besides a couple of minor expansions, specifically from the Union and the other larger, more powerful countries, which are just going to simply do this, where they expand like this. And last but not least, we have this maroon country right over here get all of these lands in the north. But they don't take too much because they are about to do one thing that is called war. Now who? Well, after a bit of eeny, meeny, miny, mo, they chose the pink team because they find them quite weak, and they're just going to quickly send their invasion forces right over this way to get as much land as possible. And the pink team is much, much weaker than these guys, and I need to not do that. So they will be able to absolutely steamroll this area right here without any issue, very quickly capturing the north. But a country that actually jumps in on this, which is kind of surprising and extremely concerning, is the green team. They will very quickly jump in on this, taking all of these lands up in the north over here. And I mean, since like it's been a long time actually, they've kind of moved on from their horrific past, so at this point, it's nothing too insane, but some people obviously a bit worried, but it's a completely different government. Kind of how when they were originally kicked out of the purple team, they fled to this area. That's essentially what happened, but I don't even remember, but I think they're all dead. Or are they? Dun dun dun. I'm just kidding. They're definitely dead now. It's been like it's been hundreds of years since that happened. But essentially, the green team will take the capital before the rest is finished off, and we will now see a peace treaty. Now, while the original borders were going to look like this, and mostly because of me, but let's pretend like there were some land exchanges where they would get this land right here in exchange for some, oh god, not everything, in exchange for some southern lands right over here, mostly due to just a simple trade deal, and in reality this is because I hate how the borders look, but you know, they never need to know that. And obviously, as I mentioned previously, with a lot of these heightened tensioned? That's not English. No, okay, so what I was going to say is, with the heightened tensions going around with this area, and even other areas around the world where people don't really feel too safe in general, a lot of people in mostly large, I mean like very large migrations, they all decide to move into brand new areas, obviously creating a lot of new countries. And with this, we're going to see just a large wave of countries essentially out of nowhere in large like groups, where we see this main one up over here, and in a very like this is a very vast area where, and it's been explored for a long time, so people have kind of felt safe into moving to this area because they kind of feel like they already know essentially this place like the back of their hand. So essentially what we see is mainly 4 countries with one big outlier, but I'll get to that in a sec. Essentially, this one has, I would say, the second largest population, with it being quite dense, although, and the people ruling this country decided not to expand too much, with these two going a little larger, but they have actually a smaller population, I would say. But mainly is this one, which has a absolutely massive population, because there's originally it was like a bunch of small countries, but essentially then, because they were like a goddamn pizza, but essentially what they decided to do is all of them collectively decided to unite as one country, putting the capital in the center of the empire, which gives us actually a extremely large country, bigger than most countries that have been here for like hundreds of years, especially this area. But while technologically advanced, not so much. Population, very good. So that's this little thing, and we're going to be seeing probably even a few more, probably in the next few episodes as well. But now we got other stuff to do. The island area, one of the most chaotic places in history, although it's recently cooled down, which is unacceptable. We have to stir some stuff up, because stuff has been stirring up for sure. Essentially, as you know, these 4 hate each other. Specifically, these two together hate these two, and these two hate these two. Simple enough. Now, that's just history for very obvious reasons. But point is, with a lot of pressure, especially from the brown team, since they become a superpower and they're probably a little overconfident. But thing is, they are stronger than this country, and they have a stronger ally, which is stronger than this ally. So logically speaking, they would win the war, and they would get rid of one of their largest enemies. So with that logic, they quickly tell them, okay, here's the plan. We don't want to stir up a bunch of stuff and cause a war that has us involved. So we're going to actually throw you under the bus. Well, I'm not actually telling you this, I'm thinking this. I'm going to tell you to declare war, and later on have nothing to do with it, mostly because I just need them to get rid of this thing while you do all the dirty work, sure? And then I'll just back you up if you need anything. And to that, well, obviously not exactly what has been said, they will take this offer, seeing that it also gets rid of one of their largest enemies. And in a surprise invasion that was not surprised at all, since these two have like extremely high intentions, they will very quickly start moving into some of these areas, punching through this and separating this area right over here due to its like thin little area. But this country has a superior navy, so that's going to go one way. But also religion. How does this look? Oh, so essentially, with all of the religion that still exists due to a lot of pressure not to cleanse all of them, which is the main reason why they still exist, this will slowly start spreading through the areas that are still this religion, which encompasses all of this, and they will do this. Now, the problem is, this was in a few days. I just want to point this out. This was like one of the fastest rebellions like ever seen, and now with the military, they're losing very badly, and this did not go according to plan. Here was their original plan. Okay. Here's what we do. They're going to uprise, that's obvious, and then we ethnically cleanse them. But seeing how fast they revolted, it was a little unexpected, so now the brown team has to jump in, saying that it is their ally, which I mean it is, and with a lot of forces they are able to push back and even make a naval invasion into a couple areas, essentially getting some lands back, including this right here. And it's just going to kind of keep going back and forth until it gets to a stalemate right around here, where as much as they try to push in, they will get pushed right back out, because this is where the largest population is, and it's just not going very well. So after lots of back and forth, they will come to a deal saying, okay, how about this? Since you're annoying, and you obviously won't cooperate, we'll make a small deal. You can gain a very little land, and in return, we do not attack you for quite a while. And to that, the orange team accepts, where they will very quickly and very gladly take lands from these guys. Even if it's a little, they're still glad that they get land, because they absolutely hate them. And in return, with this very stupid battle, they're slightly smaller. Does it really matter? Not really. It was barely any lands, and if anything, it makes them more stable, though still not really, since a lot of their lands are still very on that religion side, but besides that, we could continue on. Now, with this, the war was won, obviously, but a lot of people see that this could be a threat in the future, and I mean, they're not holding up to their promise. That's very obvious. So that is why they're going to join an alliance. But first of all, something's going to happen because for this certain alliance, you need to be a certain thing. So essentially, what happens is the monarchy quickly says this, not that. That's not what I want. So essentially, here's what they say. They will be switching over to communism, which is just fun with the population since they have been very friendly with the communist bloc and they've just kind of been chilling. But essentially, with this, they will officially join this alliance after switching over because it's still the same monarchy. The only difference being that it's communist now and it doesn't go by air, which they are fine if it means protecting their entire country since this monarchy is actually surprisingly good. They've been like very helpful with the people. So that is the main reason they're actually kind of allowing for this to happen, since they obviously want to help their country as much as possible. And to do that, they think in their eyes joining the communist bloc is the best option, which it isn't bad and actually spreads the influence of these guys a lot, kind of like through the roof, since this is a very strong country. This is the new strongest country in the South Bloc, originally being Halonia right here, but they got a new strongest, which is quite helpful for them. But besides that, we have a few other things to talk about. Essentially, after this war, they're a little cranky, but the Brown team still holds the meeting that they had to meet with all of the superpowers of the world, except these guys, because they despite them. So specifically, the Dark Blue team and the Blue team will both meet at the capital of the Brown team. And as this meeting goes on, it's about secret politics stuff that currently no one knows about. And they don't even know this meeting happened, as a matter of fact. Besides one man, who does appear at the meeting, who was not meant to come at the meeting. Essentially, it was a random guy no one knew. And essentially, if this is the meeting right here, he just kind of came out of nowhere, like just straight down out of nowhere, and somehow got passed through all security. So, as they're obviously concerned and more confused on how the hell he got in, as they call for security, he quickly shows them something. Something far greater, something quite interesting actually. This. I will not go much in detail with this meeting, but with this, what essentially happens is he gives these people an offer. He will help them get as many of these creatures as they please. In return, they give him a bunch, and I mean like a bunch of money. And they make him a country just for him. And to that, they look at the creature and they agree. After some point is, they agree to this offer. And here's what happens. He explains to them, essentially, in a secret part no one has discovered yet. These species are found right over here, actually. So, with this information, they tell him this. He tells them this. Make him a country, right over here as he pleases, which is done quite successfully, and they get a bunch of people there who essentially are either impoverished or have any other issues to go live in this country. And he says this. I will start helping and supplying you if you just help me out with a few other things. And to that, they all agree, except the Blue team, which does this. They kind of outbrain him, and instead they just make a colony, which now kind of gives them access, which does this. They still agree that they won't get in their way when it comes to selling, but they're not going to get bossed around by his tiny little country, which he's very offended by, but he can't really do anything about it because they kind of outsmarted his plan, but he still gets to trade with the second and fourth most powerful country, which is still a very good score, I'm just saying. It's time to get to the good stuff. Essentially, Sultanate ships right over here, and Islandian ships They meet up. They hate each other. But, accidentally, Islandian ships mistaken the Sultanate Empire ships as a threat, as if they were prepared to ram into them. So what they do, they attack the island. Not the island. Damn it, the ships. And they blow up. Well, not blow up because there's not cannons yet. But the point is, they destroy a few ships in this area. And while others retaliate, this news very quickly spreads. And both sides tell their ships to pull back and retreat. And now they're not too sure on what they're going to do. But all they do know is war is about to come. And it is not going to be pretty. So both sides, with both alliances, as they prepare for war, things get kind of crazy. If I could find the right damn layer. There we go. Specifically, this area becomes quite militarized, specifically with Finger, as they are ready to send their ships over here. Oh, Brittany, I'm sorry. And everyone over here prepares. And I feel bad for Silver. That's not going to go very well. Same, actually, they're going to send like that, so that's going to be a big battle. But, essentially, as everyone prepares their troops, and we even see troops coming from Islandia towards the Sultanate Empire, they quickly return. Actually, as a matter of fact, it seems that all the troops are returning from all the borders, specifically from Islandia. Everyone else is keeping their positions, but it seems that they have something else in mind. Well, maybe it wasn't really fully their idea, but something does happen. Now, what happens exactly is this. The country falls apart. It goes into a rebellion very quickly. Islandia collapses, going back to only these islands right here. Now, this is a massive blow specifically in this area, which was the most industrialized area of the entire nation, and with the second highest population, excluding this right here. So, everyone's very confused, because if we look at the stability layer, if I could find it, they were yellow. Obviously not the greatest, but far from horrible, since, like, if they were anything, like, far worse, that would make more sense, but they were only yellow, and not too far off from being green. So, essentially, they kind of collapsed out of nowhere randomly. This kind of goes by everyone's head, where specifically the Sultanate Empire and their allies, they are extremely happy with this, while the rest of the alliance is absolutely horrified and extremely confused on how the hell they collapsed. And ever since, they have kept completely shut, and they have lost right now a lot of their power. While obviously not all of it, they are still a top 10 power easily, just their military is currently kind of crippled due to them fighting this rebellion, which I will not show for time's sake, but essentially these are the outcomes. But don't get this wrong, there's still a lot of tension, since the alliances still don't know exactly what to do, since they're all locked and ready to attack, but it's just they're kind of, in a sense, kind of like World War II, where they did kind of already declare war, but everyone's just a little too afraid to make the first move, to kind of like make the first blow. We'll get back to that in a second, because one thing is, while they won't take full advantage of this, because some countries probably wouldn't like that, and that'll cause the war, what the Sultanate does is sends secret little missions, little spies into the capital for the Islandia's weakened state to get any information that they could possibly find. And one of these pieces of information were, as they went to the capital, they took a look, and there was something on a desk, a piece of paper. And on this piece of paper was certain thing. It was just a bunch of dots and lines. So they leave it there, but they keep in mind what it could have possibly been. But besides that, now I could essentially just go to alliances, and now I can erase this, because there's no point of this anymore. So essentially what's going to happen is all of this goes bye-bye. While this alliance still stays, a lot of countries begin to leave, like these two right over here. I don't know, because they're probably going to get attacked if they stay in this alliance, so they decide to leave, and it was definitely the best choice. But essentially, the blue team goes like, okay, so Islandia's done, but now I'm the second strongest country, so why don't I just attack a few countries? You know, nothing crazy, just a few. It's only a little bit. That's way too big. So essentially, they would just send an invasion through this silly little country, this poor country, actually. And they will actually do the same to the brown team, which is taken a lot less well, because the brown team has been a very chill country for a while, even though they were in the old Second Great War. But essentially, the blue team goes on a mini rampage, taking more and more countries over, and they even started their final invasion into this country right over here, which very quickly gets them toppled. And another country does join in with then taking this land right over here, and actually taking the rest of this, splitting this country into two. Everyone kind of goes silent, specifically the square lines, because they were kind of whining and complaining on like, yeah. But essentially, they kind of go silent for a while. And the answer to why that is because of this. Yeah, no one expected this, but Islandia joins the Square Alliance. Now, the same country who was originally in the coalition, they join up with the Square Alliance, and essentially, here's what some people believe, and here's what I'm going to tell you. Essentially, the original plan was for Islandia to look like a big target. Like this. And essentially, the plan would go as so. In the end of this war, they would get the entire South Peninsula, while Islandia would get all the north right here, essentially splitting everything into two. And these two thought this was a great idea. Although, it didn't go so well when Islandia randomly collapsed. So now, they're taking this into their own hands. They are kind of preparing for this, and the final straw being they attack Finger, which the Sultan Empire does not take very well, to say the least. So they quickly gain ground, going like this. Just, I think you could kind of guess how that's going to go. So essentially, they get to around here, because Finger, obviously, they recently went through that civil war, which didn't go so well. And the main thing being, they're still just a weak country with a very weak military. Now, here's the plan, essentially. They're going to march up to here, and then get the Sultanate Empire. But now, things have kind of changed with this right here. They have to focus about Mr. Big Blue, which, what? Mr. Big Blue? What? The point is, obviously, they declare war. They don't find this fine at all. And their troops start to slowly rush their way here as many of this stuff goes on. But, oddly enough, they leave the war. Very shortly after. I'm talking about like a day or two later, just as they were getting around maybe here with their ships. So the ships actually turn back, and they say that they leave the war and they want nothing to do with this. Yeah, a little strange, but it happens. So, with that, that is going to end today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.